Is it nostalgia? It's a common question that arises for when you wonder if you like a particular game or not. Maybe you played it when you were young and had a great experience with it, but find a hard time exactly pinning down why you still enjoyed that game or experience. I tend to dislike shrugging off reasons someone may genuinely enjoy a game as just nostalgia, but I think the circumstances you were in when first playing a particular game can have an effect on your overall enjoyment or your engagement with the game and its story. Heck, take one of my favorite games of all time, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The game's main message and theme is all about struggling day in and day out to create the future that you want and achieving your dreams. Well, I played that game at a point in my life when that message really resonated with me, and the game clung on to my gaming preferences ever since, always being high up there with my favorite games and just seemingly climbing my ranking higher and higher with each passing year, until it snuggled quite comfortably into my second favorite game of all time slot. There's many reasons why I love the game, and many of them I've talked about on the channel. I love the gameplay. Sure, it takes some time to get used to, and some time to get the ball rolling, but the overall gameplay loop is really fun to me. It's very rhythmic in its style, where you can just break it down into two distinct phases, a chain attack phase and a normal phase. In the normal phase, you are doing blade and driver combos to stun the enemy or put up various elemental orbs on the enemy. And then in the chain attack phase, you spend your time popping those elemental orbs that you put up in a more turn-based style of gameplay. It keeps the pace varied and keeps my attention while having a good sense of flow and involving a lot of moment-to-moment decision-making on top of long-form planning, or long-term planning, that really draws me in and makes me enjoy the combat. You pair that up with the story whose theme really resonated with me at the time, as I talked about earlier, that honestly still resonates with me, on top of a lovable cast of characters that breaks up the serious, emotionally heavy moments with lighthearted banter into a mixture that I find enjoyable, and it just creates this overall package of a game that I simply adore. Sure, it has its problems, and sure, nostalgia plays some role in my memories, but just how much fun is for this game that I have is a question whose answer I don't think is just nostalgia. Sure, I would say nostalgia plays some role, but not solely the reason that I enjoy the game. I wouldn't even say it's a major one. It just enhanced certain things and made other things like poor voice direction in the first half more charming than immersion breaking. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I like the game more for it, sure. Isn't that also a good thing? I still love the game, and I like it even more because of all the memories I have with it. Another example of a game near and dear to my heart that falls under a similar principle to Xenoblade 2 for me is Halo 3. Heck, I made an entire video about my love for Halo 3, how it's not just nostalgia focused. I'll leave a link to that in the description. But it was just an FPS game that appeals to what I want out of FPS games the most. That came at a time when I was really into FPS games. It was a great game composed of things that I personally enjoyed, that came at a time in my life when I was looking specifically for a game like that. And Halo 3 ticked all the boxes for me. Now, there's a difference between thinking a game is only good because of nostalgia and having nostalgic memories for a game, but not thinking it holds up anymore, or you just don't enjoy playing it anymore. World of Warcraft would fall under that category for me. I used to love WoW quite a lot. It came at a time when I really wanted a fantasy world I could just log into and do whatever in, and WoW was great for that. Where at the end of the day, I could just log into that game and forget about the stress of life as well, and just seemingly have an endless list of things that I could choose to do. WoW had this funny way of feeling like a home away from home in a lot of ways. However, nowadays, on top of a whole bunch of other reasons, like WoW's quality declining over the years, and it just going in a direction that I no longer found interesting, my fundamental interest in video games just simply changed. Ever since 2015-ish, my preferences and what I simply look for in a game have not necessarily evolved, but just changed and pivoted to different genres. I play far less multiplayer-oriented games, and tend to focus on single-player story-heavy experiences. I now have a penchant for JRPGs, where I used to never touch them outside of Pokemon. Heck, I only played Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VII within the last 7 years or so, when I started to get into JRPGs, and I absolutely love those games. Not everything is rooted simply in nostalgia. However, experiencing a game when it would really resonate with you can absolutely help. For instance, I didn't play Final Fantasy VI and VII when they first came out, but I played them as some of my first experiences with JRPGs. So I do have kind of a nostalgic memory for them. But I still love those games as video games. I feel that the components that construct those games are components that I really enjoy. The music, the story, the characters, the gameplay. I find them fun and engaging. But not everything is rooted simply in nostalgia. However, experiencing a game when it would really resonate with you can absolutely help. Take Xenoblade Chronicles 1, for instance. I didn't play that game back at launch. I wasn't into JRPGs yet. I beat the game after Definitive Edition came out, and a little bit after it came out, because I took a bit of a break from it. So I beat it after I beat Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. A different game, sure, but one whose message and theme are very similar. So Xenoblade 1's back end didn't hit as hard for me as it did for others, but for me, I grew in my appreciation for the game over time. When I first played it, I kind of understood what was going to happen with its overall narrative theme, because I just played Endwalker, so I'm like, okay, I kind of understand what's going on here. It's not a knock on Xenoblade 1, it's just, it came at a time when I had played something whose message also resonated with me very strongly. Had I not played Endwalker right before Xenoblade 1, I probably would have loved it way more at the time. Probably as much as I love it now. Like I said, absolutely incredible game, and it's still in my top 10 games ever. But one of the major differences in my experience between Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 1 is that Xenoblade 2 came at a time where it really resonated with me and filled a hole, whereas Xenoblade 1 had company in that hole. It just goes to show the power a personal experience can play in your personal enjoyment with any game. There's so many different reasons for liking anything, and sometimes it may not even come down to the quality of the game, but when in your life you first experienced that particular thing, and what memories you associate with it. Saying you enjoy a game because of the memories you have with it doesn't have to be a veiled critique of the actual quality of the game. It's just an acknowledgement that the game particularly resonated with you for one reason or another, which I believe is one of the beautiful aspects of video games and media as a whole, that they can somehow almost magically come at a time in our lives when we seemingly need them the most, or we just really resonate with them and have fun with them. Halo 3 came at a time when I had a bunch of friends who played FPS games, so a game whose mechanics really resonated with me, that was so easy and simple to play with friends, was perfect. Same thing with Minecraft, a game whose mechanics are very simple but was really fun cooperatively, that made it seamless to play with friends. It was perfect when it came at a time when I had a bunch of people to play those games with. So if you ever found yourself just thinking that games aren't what they used to be, well, it could be that due to any number of factors, what you're looking for and what actually resonates with you so strongly now has just simply changed and pivoted, like it did for me back in around 2015, 2016. And there's so much variety out there, with so many different types of games being made all the time and releasing all the time, that I would encourage you to try different things outside of your comfort zone, because maybe, just maybe, you might find your new favorite game of all time. Or you might find something that you didn't expect or think that you would like. I would never have thought that I would enjoy a game like Xenoblade or Persona when I was young. Hell, back in the GameCube era, I had Ocarina of Time and I played a little bit of it, but it just didn't click for me. I didn't get it, I didn't understand it, I just didn't find it enjoyable. Flash forward to years later when I would play it on the 3DS, and I loved Ocarina of Time. I fell in love with the game. And I would then go on to complete Majora's Mask. I fell in love with Zelda. It just, later on in life, after I'd made that switch over to JRPGs, and RPGs in general, my preferences simply changed. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with liking different things as you get older or just go through different experiences. And there's nothing wrong with still liking the same thing. It's all just a matter of identifying what you enjoy and what you want to get out of this medium, and then going to find those experiences that resonate strongly with you. Are you looking for mainly gameplay experiences? Are you looking for story experiences? Or are you looking for some kind of blend between the two? I became very disenfranchised with the whole state of modern multiplayer games, so I kind of just left that entire scene and migrated to more single-player experiences, because those games provided an experience that resonated with me stronger, that just were more fun to me. It doesn't make much sense to just stick with something you no longer enjoy, right? Sometimes you gotta move on. Same thing with World of Warcraft back in the day. I no longer found it fun, so I moved on to different games. I still enjoy MMOs, so I still play Final Fantasy XIV, because that game still resonates with me, but for different reasons than WoW used to. That's the brilliance of the medium, in my opinion. There's so many different interactive experiences out there, that sometimes you just gotta take a little bit of a leap of faith and go find something new to play. I didn't think I would enjoy Xenoblade, but then I played Xenoblade 2 and I loved the game. I didn't think I would enjoy Persona, but then I played Persona 5 and I loved the game. Etc, etc, etc. And it's funny, because in 10 years' time, you may be looking back on some of the games you're playing right now as a nostalgic experience. Kind of crazy to think about, isn't it? Like I said, it's one of the great aspects of video games. So what I want you to do is leave a comment down below with a game that came at an important point in your life that really resonated with you. You don't need to go into too much detail if you don't want to, but I would love to hear a game that just really resonated with you. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe out there, buddy. Have a great day, and I hope to see you all again next time. Go play some video games if you can. Bye bye, everybody.